Welcome to Construct Tech TV, and I'm Peggy Smedley. If you're looking for a job, look no further than the construction industry. Why? Construction has many opportunities, and I believe we don't do enough in this industry to tell what the job market really looks like. In fact, that is perhaps why this industry is facing a very difficult skilled labor shortage unlike any other industry. I also believe there are a few other reasons for the labor shortage. That is why I will address that throughout the show today. First and foremost, the U.S. labor market is the strongest it has ever been in years. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says the unemployment rate has declined to just 3.7% in September. Now, some say we are on an upward curve. The construction industry has added 315,000 jobs in the past 12 months. But I don't think this number tells the whole story. The total number of job openings reached 7.1 million in August. In construction alone, we saw 298,000 openings in August alone this year, compared to only 215,000 openings in the same period last year. Now, where are all of the workers going? We are losing them to professional and business services and manufacturing and healthcare, a whole host of other industries. And we're losing them to, let's say, the Ubers and the Googles of the world. Now, why is that happening? I think we as an industry need to be very cautious. How long will it take for all of this growth I've been talking about? Will it be 12 months? Will it be 18? I think we might need to be very concerned about our efforts if we are not focusing on finding the right people. We are seeing jobs right now growing and booming from natural disasters, Amazon building some impressive warehouses and campuses. But are these building projects sustainable if we don't have the right people managing our projects? Construction companies need to be very ready for a changing economy at any moment. One of the most pressing problems is that we don't have the workers to fill the jobs we already have. We see that there is a huge demand for skilled labor in this very industry. There is a need for talent in the office and at the skilled laborers right in the field. The skilled labor shortage will continue, and if we don't, and it will have the greatest impact on the commercial construction industry for the next 3 years. Now, according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, roughly 91% of contractors and trades report they are having a difficult time finding skilled labor. We also see that the construction jobs are projected to increase by 25% to 2020. This is faster than the average of 14%. That's 14% of all other occupations. With all this projected growth, the industry needs skilled physical labor at the job site, and it needs individuals with good building and mechanical knowledge. The construction industry needs people who can solve critical business challenges. We need the workers. We also need the technology. It's a catch-22. We've been talking about all of this for quite some time. Technology can help us be more efficient. It is accelerating things faster than ever before. In fact, the National Bureau of Economic Research has some interesting numbers on this. In the first half of the 1990s, the technology grew at an annual rate of 1.2%. This same rate rose at 3.1% between 1995 and 1999. It's Moore's Law. The number of transistors in a dense integrated circuit doubles about every 2 years. Adoption of technology is growing faster than it ever has before, and it will only continue. We see at the same time that productivity is also beginning to increase in some areas. Numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show that annual productivity growth is at 2.9%. The challenge, as so many of you already know, is that construction productivity is hovering at only about 1%. Sadly, there are some reports that say it has even declined. And with the labor shortage, we need all the help we can get. Alternative construction solutions like prefabrication can improve labor productivity, and it can help fill the worker gap that we are all talking about. There's such a huge opportunity that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce says 89% of contractors believe prefabrication will create more efficient job sites. This is the way we are headed, people. As construction workers on prefab projects, this is what you're going to need to know. Digital design, estimating, off-site manufacturing, logistics, site management and integration, and on-site placement and assembly. We need more innovative methods to create more efficient job sites. Construction companies will also need to consider new materials for buildings and even homes beyond concrete and steel. Think about that for a second. New materials. Lean practices are also certainly another way to equip your teams to improve productivity. We've got to think outside the box. As construction workers on lean projects, you're going to need to be thinking critically, analytically, and identify sources of waste, and to be able to study ways to reduce waste and to think of new opportunities. We also need to be seeing more collaboration tools to connect all of our teams. Still, another way is to improve the overall safety culture. Can't say that enough. Roughly 63% of companies indicate improving safety can help address the scarcity of skilled workers. Technology and process can be the solution to help us. We are even seeing more adoption of technologies like sensors, Internet of Things, digital twins, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, and other emerging technologies that are beginning to have a greater impact that will push the construction industry forward. But I am really concerned that all this talk is not going to be enough. Quite frankly, we need more workers. We need more boots on the ground to get the job done. The first step is to recognize that the worker of tomorrow is more than the worker on the job site today. Tomorrow's worker is more innovative. They leverage technology. They embrace change. They want their contributions to align with their own interests. And they are looking for companies and even industries that have a unique energy. We will need to understand who this worker is if we want them to join construction. Otherwise, we are going to lose them to Amazon and Facebook and other tech companies. Listen up. The construction industry is in for a fight, and I am telling you, a fight for talent. And it starts by understanding who these people are. Perhaps it's time to look at all of this tech talent and to start looking at other industries. Perhaps it's time to make a change, and change starts with looking outside the construction industry to find the best skilled workers. We can't be afraid, if we want to train our best people, that they are going to leave. We can't be afraid of that. We need to hire people who can inspire. We need to find the people who have the skill set to totally transform and lead us today. We will explore all of this on this entire episode. I think construction does have something really unique to offer this new worker. Believe it or not, construction is innovative. Construction is leveraging new technologies and methods unlike ever before. Construction recognizes that it needs to keep its pulse on technological change. It understands that it needs to begin to navigate through all of this digital transformation. And it definitely recognizes that it needs a future workforce to help enable all of this. Now let's start this conversation today and to continue to encourage even more skilled workers to see construction in a whole new way. The conversation begins with you. Are you ready? Interstate Electric Services makes prefabrication a key component of its business. It leverages lean construction methods and pre-assembles many materials in its operations center. A combination of 3D modeling, technologies, and prefab has completely changed the game for this company. It has helped the company reduce time and materials wasted on the job site. I'm eager to dig into the details a bit more. Today, I'm joined by Luiza Mills, VP of Human Resources at Interstate Electric Services. Luiza, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Peggy.
So let's talk about the adoption of lean construction and methodology. Help our viewers understand really what that's all about.
Sure, of course. So lean construction methodology, it's actually not something new. It's been around probably as far back as the 1940s with Toyota production. But the way that Interstate uses lean construction methodology is really based on minimizing waste as much as we can, maximizing on our value add, and mitigating what we call non-value add. So in the marketplace demands that exist today, change is become more stringent. Clients, the deadlines are being much more aggressive, let's just say, and technology is evolving so quickly that it's very important for us to go back to some basic roots and identify a platform of what we need to proceed to do to go forward.
When you look at that, and it's an interesting approach the way you say that, because are you able then to integrate true technologies? So your existing technologies, tools that you've used all along, data that you've used, to which are now digital tools as well? Were you able to say, we did some old things that were maybe routines we had to do and continue to do, like you say, those things, as well as new technologies that we had to integrate, because there's a lot of information that you had to gather to say those redundancies we had to take out, but then there's new things that we gathered with information to make us better and more efficient and more, I guess, productive, so to speak.
Right. So one of the things that we started first of all was identifying two major components. One was we really had to empower the doers. I think gone are the days where you hand somebody a binder and you tell them follow steps 1 through 10. The people that are doing their specific roles, they're the experts in that specific function. And it could be something that we consider to be so small and routine. And I'll say payroll, not that that's a small function, but it's an expected function. No one thinks about that. But again,
only the people getting paid think about that.
Only the people getting paid. But all the way on through every discipline, like the installation group, they are the true experts in what they do. So what we've done is, by bringing what we call a cross-functional group together, they're at the forefront. So when we are awarded a job, we have all of those elements in the room at the same time. So we have your job superintendent, we have, engineering, we have prefabrication, the operations center. So we have all of those elements in the room early on, procurement, for example, and they're identifying very early on in the inception what's the best format to now function and to support the external client on whatever that might be. Through that, we then started to identify gaps in what we needed. So where we were kind of starting to fall short of newer things or newer technologies that needed to become on the forefront. We developed, for example, a brand new state-of-the-art 100,000 square foot operations center, which is not something 4 or 5 years ago that really would have been on our forefront. In that operations facility, we have again, state-of-the-art prefabrication facility that was put together by actual, electricians and project superintendents who helped identify all of the angst that they go through on the day-to-day. This facility is now set up in such a way that it's so seamless for them as the recipient of the productivity that comes out of the facility.
Talk about that prefab side of it, because prefab is really growing right now, and that has to help not only on the idea of being able to deliver on the prefab, but on the safety side of it now. You have to have both sides of that I think not only your ability to deliver things faster, but also on a safety side. So I think you have both ends of the spectrum there that you're doing things really well then, I would suspect.
Thank you. So it was it's a lot of work leading up to this, but it's been very exciting. I've got to say, and maybe we just talk about it so much that we
You forget about how much you do it. Yeah.
We're so passionate about it. But yes, one of the things right off the bat is the ergonomics. You are now in a controlled environment. So imagine, for example, bending pipe outdoors in the cold elements, in 6-10 feet of snow. We're now able to do that inside in a controlled environment. Imagine working on a 50-story building, for example, where you're running back and forth because you forgot a tool or a widget or whatever that might be. You're breaking down product. Again, it's either extremely hot, raining, wet, cold, whatever that might be. Right now, by having our prefabrication and our operations facility, we can put those components together on site. We can receive the product, we can check it, we can break it down for them. Not only are we eliminating the waste on the job site, but again, all those extra steps that somebody was going to run back and forth. It's a known fact that in our construction industry, the install base out of an 8-hour day, it was less than 3 hours that someone was physically using to do installation. The rest it wasn't because they had their feet up on a desk drinking coffee. It was because they were running around, receiving material, breaking down product, dealing with defective lamps or defective materials.
You've improved the way you're getting things done. You've reduced injuries. But what have you done about the labor now? I mean, you have to, it sounds to me like you've got more people saying, I want to go to work for you guys because I don't have to be in those crazy elements anymore. And it sounds like you have a unique workforce because now it sounds like you can have a different labor force than you've had before. It doesn't mean you just have to have men. You can have women in this environment. I mean, it opens up the labor force in a unique way because of this environment that you have.
And that's such a great thing that you point out. So we've done a couple of things. We've identified new roles that never existed in the organization. So we've added on, so in our prefabrication facility, just to kind of start with that, we have between 60 and 70 employees that report there just specifically to that facility. And that's anywhere from detailers to coordinators to general laborers, assemblers, material handling, shipping and receiving. Within that capacity, because it's a prefab environment, it's again very lean oriented, structured. So you walk in, you can see what has to be done. We're UL certified as well, which has been phenomenal for us. So there's a lot of quality control. We've been able to hire so many people, especially exactly like you're saying, women, people that are looking for a second career perhaps. English isn't the first language. We have chefs, we have line cooks, we have carpenters, we have a single mom. We have a woman that was heading down a technology path but decided it wasn't for her. We have so many different elements. We have people in wheelchairs. We have every capacity that you could think of. They come in, they're able to do the job. There's no necessary major prerequisite other than they have the desire to work, they have the desire to learn, and at that point, there's no limit to what we can do to hire those individuals.
So there you go. You've created the job for the work environment for the people. That is so great. Well, I have to tell you, Luiza Mills, VP of Human Resources at Interstate Electric Services, loved having you on the show. I hope you'll come back and talk to us more as you continue to grow.
Thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks.
A noisy expansion. That is how advisory services firm Marcum describes the second quarter of 2018. One interesting trend it noted was the strong influence of technology on construction growth. This is critical considering the large labor and economic issues the industry is facing today. So for this segment, I would like to look at what needs to be done to get Generation Z interested in construction. Is it technology? Is it something else? To discuss this, today I am joined by James Miller, Assurance Services Partner at Marcum LLP. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Peggy.
So Jim, let's talk a little bit about technology and how technology is playing a role in these labor shortages we're talking about in construction. And what's your take on that right now?
So it's twofold. A lot of the technology giants, i.e. Facebook, Amazon, they're really investing a lot of money in building real estate. And that's a result of increasing construction backlog. Now, that falls into the labor shortage. So there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of backlog that we see a lot of our clients having. However, the image of construction being kind of a quote-unquote old school mentality, where there's not a lot of innovation in technology, a lot of things are hands-on, the old, best thing, the feeling of actually building something, constructing something. While that's still there, a lot of more focus has been on the innovations and making things more efficient. So that in turn has created this problem within the construction industry of being able to have skilled workers and get those skilled workers to really satisfy these backlog requirements.
So let's talk about that, because what you're really saying is if you have a Facebook or a Google or an Amazon building these massive campuses, number one, but they're not just building these massive campuses, they're building these things that look like children's playgrounds. I mean, you've got slides, you got all these unique environments, first of all. But then you're talking about you've got baby boomers who have these very unique skills, very skilled trades, who then we have Generation Z, millennials, who have to come in and learn these unique skills. How do we transition those skill sets to be brought in there when they say, look, I don't even want to be in construction, I want to go work, I want to be in the playground and work for Google or Amazon because those guys are playing. Do they really work? They've got really great hours. I mean, that's the perception, where construction is this dirty, icky job. I don't want to have that job. I want to go play with all the cool kids. I mean, isn't that what's happening?
That is what's happening. So you have two problems there. First of all, you have a significant population of baby boomers that are coming to the age of retirement. So it's causing a lot of transition issues with a lot of contractors where they say, okay, do we have someone in the wing that could take over the business, or do we have to look at a transaction, potential transaction? And you really see that in the industry taking over a lot of the focus, where there's a lot of potential and for that transaction-based platform. The second part of it is really the presentation of the job, and that's where you get into people wanting to work for Google because you're working in clear glass offices and everything's team oriented and everything's really attractive when it's played out that way, and versus someone who's on the side of a road with a construction hat on digging in sewers
and in an ugly environment. I mean, it's not safe, right? I mean, that's the other perception we're having, right? I mean, being on the side of a road and hearing about you might get whacked, you might get killed on the side of a road. I mean, you're not going to get killed working in Google or Amazon. At least you don't think, well, I don't know, nowadays gosh knows what's going to happen. You work in those environments too. I mean, everybody's got post office mentalities. I don't know what happens today, but I mean that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the old school mentality, that the old school vision that contractors have. But what students and really the Generation Z are not educated on are a lot of the tools that are in the construction industry now, that a lot of contractors are moving towards prefabrication, where a lot of the trades are moving into prefabricating items to bring on the job site. So where you're not really on the site that much, getting that old school mentality of getting dirty all the time, being outside all the time. And then you also have the other side of it where the message down the road is again, it's built from parents saying you have to go to a 4-year college, you have to do this, and you're going to make money down the road.
Well, all right, let's take a step back. Two things: prefab, you're building that in a built environment, a controlled environment. Okay. Yep. So it's still a manufacturing environment. It's controlled. You might have a 9-to-5 job, so to speak. You could have more women. You change the culture environment in a prefab, which is very cool because you can build it somewhere, deliver it to the site. That's what's really cool. We know prefab is very popular right now, and that's great. We're seeing a lot of it.
It's becoming more popular, right?
Exactly, in California and other places and all over the world. That's number one. So we're talking about that being, and then the other idea of the skilled laborers and changing this environment, or changing what people perceive as the construction job and the skills that are going to have those. But how are we as a construction industry doing what we need to do to change the mindset? We as parents are saying you've got to go to a 4-year school, and But then you go out and you want to be a doctor or lawyer, you get slapped with a really big tuition bill, or even when you graduate, just going to a regular 4-year school, you're not guaranteed for a job. You know, you work in a construction job, you've got a good job. An apprenticeship is a good trade to have. Are we doing a good enough job in the construction industry or even other industries to say, look, you've got a good career, a lifelong career if you want it, and it's a good industry to work in?
Oh, absolutely, Peggy. So the answer to that is no, because I think the mentality is that you're going to be making more money if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer. And really the jobs of the past.
But you're not, because you got a big bill you got to pay for years, and you got to work really long hours, and you're going to be you might not live that way, because I just saw a survey today that says if you work more than 40 hours, you're not going to live to 100. So you're going to be a doctor, but you're not going to live to 100 anyway. So you might not pay off your medical bill, you know, because of all that. So I mean, it's really crazy talk. So I mean, to kids today, the baby boomers, the millennials, they want to have a balanced life. How are they going to have a balanced life if we're not doing enough to show them there are other careers that will pay well and have a really great career? And construction's got some really good technology skills that can have that. Are we at fault? Are we generations, you know, the baby boomers, for not doing enough to say there's other careers you can have, like construction, like transportation, like manufacturing, that are going to pay well, that you can do? So construction right now needs it. 2.3 million shortfall. The president right now is bragging that there are great jobs out there and construction's up. But how long are these jobs going to be up? That's maybe the bigger question.
Well, I mean, you know, to your point, yes, the construction industry is at fault because, you know, really it's twofold. The innovation of technology is a big part of it because it doesn't really advertise what construction is capable of doing. And a lot of that has to be done through the associations that are out there that offer these education platforms for students to come to learn about construction. And a lot of times, the best thing that they can do is have the trades be on site, show demos on what they're capable of doing, show really what a BIM software is capable of doing, and walk through a job and really see how these 3D images of jobs, you know, really provide the quote-unquote attractiveness of the technology that a lot of these Generation Zs and millennials are looking to get.
Are you been satisfied with what you've seen in the last few years? I mean, when we look at this right now, we knew this was happening. We knew what was coming. This isn't a surprise to the construction industry that we were going to have this problem. So, I mean, did we let it happen as an industry?
I think we, as an industry, we're coming off of some rough years where backlogs have decreased significantly. So the focus really was pulling back. Now, as the economics are getting better.
Good point.
The economics are getting better. The backlogs are increasing. Companies are investing money in infrastructure and real estate, primarily real estate these days. But now the focus is back on, okay, now that we have all this work, how are we going to get it done? And that's where the skilled labor, now it's an issue. And I think it's just been long awaited because of coming off of bad years. So now, to answer your question, I do feel good about the way things are going because a lot of companies, contractors are investing in associations. They're investing in education programs. They're investing in marketing them as a company and technology. So it is a focus, and I feel that it's going to be better as time progresses.
How long do you foresee, or are you estimating that construction is going to see this boon that it's experienced right now? I mean, because that's the bigger thing, because you just said we've coming off some bad years. What do you think right now, optimistically, to continue to see this? Yeah.
Right. You know, from what I gather from all the different research that I've done personally, you know, obviously the real estate trends have increased, and a lot of that is primarily due to the millennials and the Generation Zs of the world, not necessarily owning real estate, but more, you know, leasing real estate. So you got a lot of investors that are coming in and investing a significant amount of money in building real estate, and that trend is going to continue at least over the next 12 months, from what I've heard. However, you know, will the construction industry remain steady? That remains to be seen. Now, that being said, I think there should be a significant emphasis on efficiencies. So as companies are investing in technology, the margins, you know, where 5 years ago there's 50 contractors bidding on a job, now there's going to be 6 or 7 or 8, and the competition is going to get less. However, the margins are going to be significantly focused on based on inefficiencies and investments that these companies are making.
So you're going to see, based on those margins, we're going to see a lot of the owner space working closer together, and those margins maybe being more improved because of that, and so we're going to see a changed market. Well, I tell you, Jim Miller from Marcum LLP, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Peggy.
All right, I appreciate it. The worker revolution in the construction industry is such a big topic that I couldn't address all of it in just one episode. So this discussion will continue on the next episode. I will sit down with Ken Simonson of the AGC of America to talk all about the challenges with finding hourly craft workers. I'll also chat with Robert Dietz of the National Association of Home Builders about the residential trends and even labor shifts. Finally, I'll conclude the show by summarizing the different generations of workers today, including Generation Z, and how they learn and seek knowledge very differently than those that have come before them. You won't want to miss any of it. So be sure to join us next time. And thanks for watching Construct Tech TV, your fierce advocates for construction.